name is Senior Obina Onwechekwa, and I'm the author of the book series Dictates of the Heart, the #1 ranking Nigerian novel on Amazon. I'm also the executive director of this show, Africa on the Rise. Welcome to Africa on Rise. At Africa on the Rise, we bring you factual, relevant, and uplifting information about the motherland of Africa and, of course, the diaspora. Please join us every month as we bring you amazing things that make Africa so fantastic. Today, we're going to bring you some women of African heritage that have something in common. But before we do that, I want us to talk about the prevailing topic of the day, and that is the COVID-19 and coronavirus. Everybody's talking about coronavirus and everybody's in a panic. But before we do that, let's just regroup. First of all, we should not panic, because panic is like a forest fire. Once you set it, it goes from tree to tree until it sets the whole forest ablaze. Let's put out the forest fire before it gets out of hand. That said, if you panic leads to paranoia, and paranoia leads to pandemonium, and that's a forest fire. So we need to put it out. First of all, before we go any further, we have to arm ourselves with knowledge, because they say that knowledge is power. We spoke to the people at the CDC, that is Center for Disease Control, and these are the findings that we have. First of all, do not panic, because panic is really counterproductive and it's counterintuitive. First of all, you have to arm yourself with knowledge. Coronavirus is a virus that causes the COVID-19. COVID-19 is the condition that you develop when you've been infected with the coronavirus. First of all, we have to work with knowledge, because they say that knowledge is power. When you have knowledge, you know exactly how to take care of yourself. There are so many people walking around blindly doing all kinds of things which are counterproductive. The most important thing to know is how to prevent coronavirus, because they say that prevention is better than cure. So some of the things that you have to keep in mind, #1 is social distancing. Social distancing means that you have to keep away from close contact with people as much as possible, at least 6 feet away. This way, you do not come in contact with the particles of the virus that's coming out of their mouth if they're sneezing. #2 is that you have to practice hand hygiene. Always wash your hands. Mother was right after all. Always keep your hands clean. Wash your hands. If you touch any surface, wash your hands. If you don't have hand sanitizer, that's quite okay. Soap and water will do. Anytime that you happen to be outside of your house, let's say that you are home, your home is your safe haven, but once you come outside of your house, then you have to really take precautions. Be careful, do not touch any surface, because you don't know what's contaminated. Once your hand makes contact with any kind of surface, make sure that you wash your hands immediately. If you cannot access soap and water, then use a hand sanitizer, and if you cannot access a hand sanitizer, then use soap and water. Always make sure that your hand is clean, and the reason is because the particles of the coronavirus, it lands on surfaces, and if your hand make contact with it, it will transfer onto your hand, and then if you touch your face, that's when you put yourself in danger. So if you can keep that in mind at all times, always make sure that your hand does not make contact with any surface outside of your house, then you're fine. Of course, inside your house, you have to make sure that you clean constantly, you sterilize, you sanitize, you use bleach or whatever, or alcohol, whatever you have. Another thing that you do is what I do, when I come home from work, I take off my shoes outside. I don't bring it inside. I don't bring my coat inside. So this way, you're not tracking particles of the virus that may have clung to your shoes or may have clung to your clothes into your house. Once you're home, head straight to the bathroom, take a shower, and then you feel free because you washed off the day and you feel more comfortable in your house. So once you do all of that, you'll be okay. Wearing of mask and gloves. Gloves are good because it keeps your hand from making contact with the virus. However, you have to be very careful because you don't want to be complacent where you're wearing gloves and you're handling different things and you're touching different surfaces and you're contaminating different surfaces that you're going to use later. So be very careful about that. When you use gloves, make sure that you do not contaminate or cross-contaminate other surfaces. So this way, you're keeping your environment clean. If you have to go to work, once you arrive at your destination, at your desk, wash your hands. Then when you head to your desk, hang up your coat and then sanitize your desk. Clean your surface, clean the desk, clean your computer if you use a computer, clean your phone, clean the mouse, the keyboard, and then you're ready to start the day. So when you come out of your desk, anywhere you go, make sure you do not touch surfaces, do not touch walls, maintain social distance from people. This way you're not coming in contact with their particles that's coming out of their mouth. Wearing of mask is good also for but it's really best for the people who are working in the hospital, the medical personnel, because they have a specialized kind of mask that filters everything. It filters the bacteria, it filters the bad air, the pollution and all that, and they're able to breathe fresh air from that. Those are specially made masks that are necessary for people that work in the health field. However, if you must wear a mask, exercise caution as well, because the mask may not protect you. For instance, your mask may make contact with some particles of the coronavirus, and as you're removing it from your face, you might recontaminate your face with it. So be very careful with that. That said, just maintain social distance. Make sure you keep your hands clean. Anytime your hand makes contact with anything other than the surfaces that you've already sterilized and you have cleaned and you have sanitized, make sure you wash your hands. So this way, please be safe. There are some myths that are flying all over the place, both on the internet, on social media, and even in some countries. They say that the coronavirus is in the air, and once you breathe the air, you get sick. Please do not do that to yourself, because if you do that, you're going to continue to live in fear. Coronavirus is just like any other virus out there, like the common cold. If somebody is sneezing, you avoid them, you stay away from them. This way it does not land on you. Another myth that is going around is that it does not affect Africans. I don't know where that's coming from, but it is making its round and a lot of people are spreading it and people are feeling very happy that it's not going to affect them. Please do not believe that hype, because coronavirus, just like any kind of virus, including the HIV virus, including the common cold, including the flu, it does not discriminate. It does not see color. It just attaches itself to the human body and then it does its havoc. So please, if you're an African like I am, please do not believe that it does not affect you and then you carelessly do whatever you want to do and touch surfaces. You're endangering yourself. So please be careful. I have some friends that live in the Philippines and they told me that everybody is so afraid because they were told, even by the news over there, that coronavirus is spread through the air. So people are living in fear. People are afraid to leave their houses. People are afraid to interact or to talk to other people. People are just afraid to live. Please, let's stop this. Let us all just walk in faith. As children of God, we know that we are under a greater power that is ahead of us. The Bible says that he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High God shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty God. And because our God is with us, we have nothing to fear. So please, let us live life. Let us walk by faith and not by sight. Let us continue to stay safe. God bless you all. And now onto our program. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. George Onora. I'm the CEO of the Foundation for Sustainable Community Development Initiative and publisher of our World Media magazine.
And I am Chinyere Obina Onshekwa, and I'm the author of the book series Dictates of the Heart and special correspondence for Our World Media, and we'll be moderating your news tonight. Welcome to Africa on the Rise.
In Africa on the Rise, we will be bringing you relevant, factual, and positive news about the African community within the United States and, of course, the diaspora and from our homeland.
Please join us every week as we bring you exciting things that make Africa so fantastic. Today, we have convened a panel of professional women of African heritage who have made it in their various fields of endeavor in the United States of America. These women have reached a level of success in their chosen careers, but they have one thing in common. That is that they all have made it to make an impact on their community through their office and their humanitarian endeavors. Our first guest for today is the Council for Information and Community Relations here at the Consulate General of Nigeria in New York City. She has continued to make an impact on the community through her work here at the Consulate General's office, also known as the Nigerian House. Madam Nini Oke-Uche, thank you so much for being our guest, and thank you for all the good work that you do. Could you please tell us something about yourself and what you do?
Thank you very much. It's very, very kind of you to be here and be interested in what we do. As you've already mentioned my name, yes, I am the consul in charge of information and community relations here at the consulate. That basically means that we handle everything to do with our image, the press, what we put out, general information. And then we have so many Nigerian associations in America, particularly in the areas we cover as the consulate in New York. So we coordinate them, we get information out to them. We're there for them to know what they're doing, how they're representing the motherland, and see if we can assist with challenges. So that's what I do. I've been with the Nigerian Foreign Ministry for 25 years now. September will make it 26. I'm a wife of one and a mother of 7. And this is my 3rd diplomatic posting. So I have barely a year left. By October, sadly, I will be called back to the ministry in Abuja. So I'm very enthusiastic to do as much as possible with the time left.
We thank you so much for the wonderful work that you've been doing here, and we wish you continued success in your future endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next guest is a woman who has made it her life's work to benefit the continent of Africa. Also known as Queen Mother Africa, she has been named the Goodwill Ambassador to Africa, to the United Nations. Dr. Dolores Blakely, it is a pleasure to meet you here today. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
As the Queen Mother, I am Queen Mother Dr. Deloise Blakely. I am the Community Mayor of Harlem and the Ambassador of Goodwill to Africa. Being in school in Ghana over 25 years ago, I'm the oldest Queen Mother of the Shanti Kingdom, bless me. But the King of the Shanti Kingdom sent me to his mother, and the Opondo region is where they installed me. As the Queen Mother, representing 55 million displaced Africans of the transatlantic ocean of the slave trade. At the United Nations, being there for 50 years as a humanitarian, we have forged the Arc of Return at the United Nations and memorializing our ancestors. I'm sure that all of us been speaking of from the United States, 400 years in memorializing our ancestors of enslaved people. As the Queen Mother, I'm very, very active, and especially looking at the needs of women and children and our youth. At the United Nations, I attend many of the sessions, and how does the work of the United Nations, which we call the Sustainable Development Goals, unfold within the African continent? And what would be the plan of action and our engagement with our young people and moving forward? So as the Queen Mother, I am very active and still very engaged. And so it's from Harlem to the United Nations on March the 8th rather, the International Women's Day. And on that day, we are calling on all the women of the world to hold the energy for Mother Africa. And it's what we want from Mother Africa, and how do we do it holistically for our youth to be able to be engaged with the legacy that we will leave for them in terms of sustainable and economic development for the continent, Mother Africa.
Thank you so very much for that. Our next guest is an outspoken advocate for the rights of women on a global and on a national scale. As a lawyer, she fights for the rights of others and has used her platform to bring attention and help to the victims of domestic abuse. Her name is Stella Azzi. Welcome, Mrs. Stella Azzi. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Thank you. I feel so honored to be part of this group, even though I feel a little bit handicapped. Having said that, you've done most of the introduction. I don't have much other than the fact that I've been an attorney for a very long time, 30 plus years. And I do have a passion. I have a private practice, but I do have a passion for the issues of domestic violence or violence against women. And I do have a non-for-profit organization, Emerald Ladies, that I have led for over 8 years, that we specifically deal with these issues. We're more concerned about Nigeria, because there's hardly any day that you open the newspapers that you don't hear about someone being killed by a spouse. So it's really something that I think that we need to do, serious work about, put awareness out there, and let people be aware of what these issues and how to come out of these situations and prevent these occurrences on a daily basis.
Thank you so much. Africa is the second largest continent in the world, with a population of about 1.3 billion people, according to the census data from 2018. It is also a continent of diversity with about 54 different countries. Africa is brimming with the brightest minds in the area of science, medicine, art, literature, and other areas of human endeavor. Yet, they are still struggling economically. Madam Consul, from your perspective as a consular officer, do you have any suggestions on the issues that are holding Africa back and how we can resolve it?
Well, the truth of the matter is it's a very broad question, because there's several issues holding Africa back. But I think even before we get into the actual issues, the first thing we need is unity. That's why I've always been a big fan of Mama Africa, because they say united we stand, divided we fall. So I think that applies not just for my country, Nigeria, but the continent as a whole. Because when we begin to standardize international best practices, whether it's to do with domestic violence, whether it's to do with equal opportunity, then things would be a lot better. But I also believe that it's a candle that needs to be burned from both ends, I like to say. With the older adults, you're looking more at consequences to deter actions that are not positive. For the younger ones, they're looking at a reorientation so that whatever is happening now, the future becomes brighter. So when we look at things like domestic violence, there have to be consequences. That's the only thing that will deter people who already practice it. And then, while we're deterring them, we want to raise children, young boys who would never lift a hand on a lady. We want to raise young girls who know how to comport themselves in such a way that they don't provoke the gentleman. And so I'm very passionate about not just the girl child, but their education as well. Because, it sounds like an old cliche, the future belongs to the youth, but it's true. It's absolutely true. So here at the consulate, what we try to do, as you know, we're not an embassy. The mothership, which is the embassy, is in Washington. So we have the consulate here, the consulate in Atlanta. So we're really departments of the embassy. So we often don't have the final say, but we have our area of jurisdiction. In fact, New York handles, I think, 20 states, whereas the mothership handles 15 and Atlanta handles 15. So we just try to be the voice for the voiceless. We're very excited when we hear about Nigerians who have achieved great things, because as you know, bad news travels fast. So we like to help the good news to travel equally fast. So we like to celebrate our people and basically just have that channel of communication so people understand that we're here for them. We have a lot of people that don't come to enjoy the resources, maybe because they are still having documentation issues and all, but we need to let them know that we're here for our nationals. If you have challenges, we're here to advise you. Where we can help, we will help. But what is important to us is that we create a refuge for our people. So that's really the main aim. But looking at Africa as a continent, Rome wasn't built in one day.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate all that perspective. Our beautiful Queen Mother, from a socio-economic standpoint, what is your opinion on how we can strengthen and mobilize Africa economically?
I will say that everything that we're looking for lies in the belly of Mother Africa. All of the natural resources that God has destined and placed in Africa, all of the minerals, the diamonds, the untapped oil, untapped other resources, we can never deplete it. So what you're looking for, and we must train our young people where it lies. They have to value what they have in front of them. And that should be the first teaching or the first nurturing of the children. Teach them who they are and what do they have.
Been to a few other African countries, but Nigeria exemplifies all of the African countries. So, and actually the human race is one. So the issues that we have is like Queen Mother said, we have to know who we are. Everything we're really looking for is in us. So again, it boils down to education. Some people talk about miseducation of the African child, or maybe the Nigerian child. What are we teaching our children? How do they benefit? When we turn around, are they really learning something that they would use? Many people in Nigeria, for instance, we have engineers, but when we need to do engineering work, we invite outsiders because we really don't believe in ourselves. We don't trust each other. We don't trust, we don't trust what we do, our abilities and what have you. But we do have people here exemplifying the fact that we are capable.
Yes.
That there's nothing wrong with us. So your question again is
The human rights
the
violation.
human rights
Yes,
aspect of this thing
yes.
is it's a challenge when it comes to Africa. It's a big challenge because most of the judiciary are not independent the way they should be. And it's more concerning to me now that we are in a country where every other African country looks up to, and then you have people interfering with the judiciary even here. So it's very concerning. But if the judiciary in Nigeria and other African countries can be made to be more independent, there will be proper checks and balances within the three arms of the government, and that is what the average Nigerian wants.
Sometimes when our problems are focused on, I realize, sometimes I tell my colleagues from another country, sorry, what's your population again, you know? Uneasy is the head that wears the crown, you know? But that having been said, I think the issues with education are bound to be there, because it's like different parts of a body. You have the economy, you have the judiciary, you have education, you have healthcare. They're all interconnected. So until we get the foundational issues right, until the resources are allocated properly, until we reach a place where we put the right person in the right job, that would be the case. We have our struggles now, but I think we still very much hold our own. In America here, we're definitely the most educated group of foreigners, immigrants, so to speak, you know. So education could do better, but it's not at rock bottom. But I think now when we look at education, the children being taught are innocent. We have to go deeper into teacher training. We have to bring back the pride in the profession. Because again, it depends on what you're paying people. If you're not paying a teacher that well, you know, it's input-output. So I think we need to channel back some of the rightfully placed glory in the profession of educating in the first place. And then when the fire comes back and the teachers and educators have that passion back, then we'll see the results in the students. But I just want to assure you that it's something that we're very, very conscious of in Nigeria. And of course, as women here, we know that they say the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. So I'm very happy with one thing, which is the fact that it's been recognized that there is too much untapped power in women, starting with the girl child. You know, if we can manage the home, I think it's not rocket science that's the first managerial point. So with education, we just need to get back the fire that should burn in the educators. The children, the students are like a tabula rasa, as they say. It's what you put in that they'll be able to work with. But that glory is coming back. It's coming back.
Thank you so very much for watching with us. As we can see, Africa is a vast continent and is full of the brightest mind, the greatest wealth in terms of mineral resources, and we have a lot going to Africa. So it is our wish that Africa is going to mobilize itself and rise again. This is Africa on the Rise. Please join us next time as we bring you more exciting information on Africa on the Rise. Thank you so much.